What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about a little bit of rumors that we've seen on Twitter, a little bit of trade talk that we've seen between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, this one was kind of low-key. I wasn't really sure about this one, but we've heard the ongoing discussions that the Toronto Maple Leafs are trying to cut costs. We all know. And being able to use Freddie Andersen to acquire pieces that maybe the Leafs can use in other spots, and the cap space, of course, and then go out there and get a cheaper goaltender, it's been talked about. And while the Leafs are not shopping Freddie Andersen, which I don't believe, I think that there's still a chance that he's being shopped. There's a lot of different things going around, but I think that it just makes a lot of sense. And David Pagnotta, or David Pagnotta, however you personally like to say it, from the fourth period, was tweeting out some tidbits from Sirius XM NHL this hour from Aaron Ward, talking about the Leafs and Carolina Hurricanes. And it's been talked about for so many years while Lou was the GM. Obviously, Dubas was there too, Shanahan, and now Dubas now. They have always had these trade discussions, apparently, and always been talking about potential moves. So they must have a pretty good relationship, and there's got to be some sort of deal that comes out of there that could be quite huge, because they always are talking. I mean, they completed that Marleau deal with the first round pick attached to him to get rid of that contract before, but something bigger than that could possibly happen. Now, they're talking about how, while talking about a potential Freddie Andersen to Carolina trade, because, Mrazek and Reimer might not be the tandem they want to go with, Dougie Hamilton was the one that Kyle Dubas asked for in return. Now, hear me out. I don't think that the value is too far out, but I do believe that the Leafs would have to add on to that for this trade to happen, and that was a non-starter for Carolina that they asked for Dougie Hamilton. So they obviously value him. Their blue line is fantastic. They're very deep, but they value Dougie Hamilton on that blue line to where that it's a non-starter. They're not interested in Dougie Hamilton being a part of any trade. Now, that's obviously very difficult for the Leafs to try to pull something off there, but if they can attach something to this trade, I wonder if it's a possibility. Now, I believe Dougie Hamilton's contract is coming up after this season, and his cap hit currently is around 5.725. I believe it's definitely in 5.7, but I can't remember the additional numbers. So it's a good deal to add to that blue line. You would 100% have your first pairing guy for Morgan Rielly finally. And it's kind of a move where you're like, okay, even if this guy doesn't end up re-signing here in Toronto, we have to make this trade because Freddie Andersen would have been a free agent at the end of the year anyways. So instead of just wasting him and letting him go to free agency, if we can acquire another goaltender, we can also get Dougie Hamilton and put him on that top pairing with Morgan Rielly. Now, how much more do you attach to a trade like this if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs? How much more do you have to give up? Well, let's just take a second here and look at this. Now, Dan Kingerski, citing San Jose Hockey Now, says it sounds like Bill Guerin is close to working on the NHL trade market to get a first-round pick for Devin Dubnyk. And obviously it was rumored that he would be going to the Sharks. Now, Devin Dubnyk is not very good. Him and Martin Jones would arguably be one of the worst goaltending pairings in the entire NHL. And there's also talk that there would be more to this trade, so it wouldn't just be a first-round pick. Like, there would be more going back the other way to San Jose. Like, it wouldn't just be Devin Dubnyk. Like, it would be potentially more that would benefit the San Jose Sharks, and it could become a bigger deal. And I don't even know if this deal will end up happening. But if a first-round pick is involved in that trade and there isn't a ton of value going to San Jose, what can the Leafs get for Freddie Andersen? I mean, I'm not saying, it's a first-round pick. The Leafs could easily get a second-round pick with nothing attached to it for Freddie, like, no question. And again, I've never been on the side of saying Freddie's not good. I just think there's parts of the season where he's inconsistent and loses focus, and it costs the Leafs in big moments. But he's definitely not the problem. We've established that. Freddie Andersen's not the problem, but he can easily get the Leafs a second-round pick. So if you're taking that value and you're putting it into the Dougie Hamilton trade, well, how much more do you have to give up beside Freddie Andersen to get a guy like Dougie Hamilton? Well, looking at his numbers here, he's a plus 30. Now, I know plus minus isn't the greatest stat, but plus 30 is pretty impressive. Points, 40 points in 47 games played. The year before that, 39 points in 82. The guy just scores the lights out. Obviously, if Dougie Hamilton came into Toronto, he would definitely be on that first power play unit. Maybe you have Riley and Hamilton on that first unit, and then one of the forwards goes to the second unit. But his numbers are great. Now, he's not like over the moon great defensively. He's just solid. He's just an overall solid player. And you add a guy like Dougie Hamilton, which to me, he wouldn't be the top of my list, but boy, would I love Dougie Hamilton on the Leafs. So, again, let's go back to this. Dougie Hamilton, fantastic, great, good contract, would finally be a first pairing guy for Morgan Riley. What do you attach to Freddie Anderson? Do you attach Andreas Johnsson? Is Andreas Johnsson and Freddie Anderson enough? I don't know. Maybe Carolina doesn't want to take on that much salary, and maybe they don't value Andreas Johnsson that much. Is it an Alex Kerfoot? If I'm the Leafs, I wouldn't be giving up Alex Kerfoot this offseason, but is he a possibility? Or does Carolina want some futures along with Freddie Anderson? A second-round pick from this year? It's a pretty... Guys, that second-round pick the Leafs have this year is actually, I believe, pick number 41, or it's in the low 40s. So it's a very good pick in a deep draft. Like, this is a very deep draft. So that pick is very valuable. So is it that second, or is it the second the year following? Or is it Freddie, a second-round pick, plus a guy like Hallander? Is that too much? The prospect we just picked up from Pittsburgh. There is a lot of different ways that this trade could happen. Does Carolina want to send, something else instead of Dougie Hamilton? Did they counteroffer with another defenseman? These are all things that I'm very curious about, because the Leafs and Carolina Hurricanes seem like teams that could make a move. Like, they just make sense. They have pieces that each team wants. The Leafs have some scoring and some depth that maybe Carolina could use. They also, the Leafs also want something that Carolina has a surplus of, and that's defensemen. And I know that they have a couple free agents with Vatanen and TVR, but their blue line is still so deep. Slavin, Pesce, like Dougie Hamilton is one of the better guys, obviously, on that team, let alone just their blue line. But they have a ton of help on that blue line that they might think is expendable for a starting goaltender, and maybe some scoring help, and maybe some futures, or a mix of any of those. So very interesting to think about. What do you think a trade would look like? And I know that this video is kind of all over the place and kind of out of nowhere, but it's interesting to hear that Toronto and Carolina continuously seem to have these talks. It's never just a one-off thing. Toronto and Carolina have been talking for years. There's been different players involved in these trade talks. There's been, different numbers thrown around. There's been different prospects, different picks. They've obviously, like I said, they completed that Marleau pick and the first-round draft choice. It's interesting to see. I want to hear what you guys have to say, because... And again, getting back to the source here, I just need to get back to the source. This, again, people probably think that this is just me because I didn't show this for a long time. Aaron Ward does have a few sources, and he has broke stuff before. I wouldn't have him at the top of my list, but he has, explained and, brought up trade rumors before. And David, like I've said in previous videos, David Pagnotta, again, from the fourth period, was, one of the first people, if not the first, to break the John Tavares signing. So this isn't just out of nowhere. And like I said, with the Leafs and Hurricanes talking for so long, if the Leafs could get a Hamilton or a Brett Pesce, which I believe it'd probably be a little bit easier for them to get a Dougie Hamilton, even though I don't think it's overly easy. I just think it would be a little bit easier because Brett Pesce is probably worth a lot more, or a little bit more. I just think that this makes sense. But we've also heard that the Leafs might just be going in the free agent market and not making trades. So over the next couple days, and maybe by the time this video is posted, more information's coming out, or something happens. Trades are good, cross your fingers, but I'm interested to see. So Hurricanes fans, let me know. Leaf fans, let me know if you guys think this trade will happen. If you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to have you here. Join the squad. Let's get to 8,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for all the views and subscribers recently. And again, just recommend videos down below. It doesn't have to be about just the Leafs, because I'm a Leaf fan. I like to talk about them a lot, but it can be about anything. So again, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.